On Friday, Jack Dorsey and Square announcing that they have intentions to potentially go into Bitcoin mining. Now, we are going to go through each one of these tweets because this is a big deal. Square is obviously started in the hardware business with the dongle that you used to be able to swipe using your smartphone. But now they have become one of the largest fintech companies in the world. It's a $115 billion market cap company. And we all know that Jack Dorsey is very bullish on Bitcoin. Historically, Square has done a number of different things in the industry. They, one, have put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Two, they have allowed users of Cash App to go ahead and purchase Bitcoin very easily. Three is they announced intentions to do an open source hardware Bitcoin wallet. And then four is that at one point they also have announced that they are interested in, quote, an open developer platform with the sole goal of making it easy to create non-custodial, permissionless, and decentralized financial services focused on Bitcoin. So obviously Square is making a very big play here. Now, around the mining hardware, Jack started out and he said, Square is considering building a Bitcoin mining system based on custom silicon and open source for individuals and businesses worldwide. If we do this, we'd follow our hardware wallet model, build in the open in collaboration with the community. First, some thoughts and questions. He then goes on to say, mining needs to be more distributed. The core job of a miner is to securely settle transactions without the need for trusted third parties. This is critical well after the last Bitcoin is mined. The more decentralized this is, the more resilient the Bitcoin network becomes. True? Second, mining needs to be more efficient. Driving towards clean and efficient energy use is great for Bitcoin's economics, impact, and scalability. Energy is a system-level problem that requires innovation in silicon, software, and integration. What are the largest opportunities here? He then goes on with three. Silicon design is concentrated into a few companies. This means supply is likely overly constrained. Silicon development is very expensive, requires long-term investment, and is best coupled tightly with software and system design. Why aren't more companies doing this work? Four, he then says, is there isn't enough focus on vertical integration. Considering hardware, software, productization, and distribution requires accountability for delivering to an end customer versus improving a single technology in the chain. Does seeing this as a single system improve accessibility? Fifth one, mining isn't accessible to everyone. Bitcoin mining should be as easy as plugging a rig into a power source. There isn't enough incentive today for individuals to overcome the complexity of running a miner for themselves. What are the biggest barriers for people running miners? And then lastly, our team led by Jesse Dorsey, I'm going to mess it up, will start the deep technical investigation required to take on this project. We'd love your thoughts, ideas, concerns, and collaboration. Should we do it? Why or why not? We'll update this thread as we make our decisions. And now over to Jesse. When I saw this, there was two main things that immediately jumped to mind. One, Square is building the largest Bitcoin company in the world. It's a $115 billion business today. And we're slowly watching the evolution from a fintech to a Bitcoin company. When you start to look at everything, again, from putting it on the balance sheet to allowing Cash App users to buy Bitcoin, to creating an open source hardware wallet, to now getting into the decentralized financial services around Bitcoin and mining, you can see that if Jack Dorsey pulls this off, the $115 billion company would be going after a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. Pretty incredible. Now, these problems are really difficult. They require not only systems design thinking, they also require first principles thinking, and they require the fortitude and the ability to think long term. You can't simply just wake up one day and say, you know what, we are going to get into the silicon chip game. That's a very difficult business to be in. It requires tons of different skills that Square may not have internally today, whether it's the expertise, the experience, or frankly, the back time that they've spent in investing the capital and the design. This is the real deal. Now, if they would be successful over the coming years, they would essentially be building a brand new ecosystem of products and services around Bitcoin. I ultimately think that building it in open with collaboration with the community is the right move. I ultimately think open sourcing as much of it as possible is the right move. And I think that it is really interesting to see a company that has a massive balance sheet, that has that $115 billion market cap, doing this will serve as an example as to why more publicly traded companies should start to participate in the ecosystem as well. One of the ideas that I continue to go back to is the idea of plugging in to the Bitcoin system. What I mean by that is if you're an investor, you can plug your capital into the Bitcoin system. If you are a hardware manufacturer or you have energy, you can plug into the Bitcoin system. You can begin mining. If you are a company you can start to do things in the Bitcoin ecosystem. You can plug into the Bitcoin network. Every time somebody chooses to take an asset that they have, whether it's capital, whether it's services, or whether it's something else, and plug into the Bitcoin network, they are essentially hiring millions of people around the world to join their team. Whether it is simply by cheering for their success and saying, hey, you believe in the same things I believe in. We're all on Team Bitcoin. We are going to do our best to help you be successful. Or it is something much, much more like using the technology where there's millions of developers or holders or people developing various products and services around the technology. You are hiring the Bitcoin community when you plug into the system. One of my favorite examples is Tahini's restaurant in Canada. They have nothing to do with Bitcoin, but they love Bitcoin. They plugged into the system. And now people will go out of their way to come visit the restaurant. They've built a national brand in the United States, and even some would argue a global brand, simply because they plugged into the system. No one would have thought that a restaurant could plug into the system. But now when you take that idea and you say Square, $100+ billion fintech company, plugging into the Bitcoin network, it is likely to provide a massive opportunity that most people are drastically underestimating. So what do we think about Square getting into the mining business potentially, but doing it from going and recreating silicone and really producing silicone chips all the way on up to the actual mining systems themselves?
Yeah, I mean, if they're able to do this on, like give individuals the ability to do it for a cheaper and kind of on a larger scale, I think it's super impactful, right? For as much as Bitcoin helps with personal economic freedom, with decentralization, with kind of all these things, this can democratize the process even more. And I think traditionally when you think of Bitcoin mining, you think of these large facilities that are temperature controlled and have access to cheap power or cheap energy, and they can they're using ASICs that are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you don't necessarily think about kind of the common average person. So I think this gives those people more access, and I think it's a good and important thing. And the one thing I really like about it is that he's open, similar to how Square has done in the past. He's open and committed to doing this in public.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, Dorsey started recently mining with Compass Mining, right? So he either really liked the rewards or hated the process that was in place and wants to build his own. He's building one of the largest Bitcoin companies solely for the fact that he can do the whole process now, right? So earlier this year, he started working on the Bitcoin hardware wallet. Super interesting. Jesse, the guy who's running this team, also was heading the Bitcoin hardware wallets too. And look, payments, mining, wallets, he's getting the whole ecosystem of Bitcoin and bringing it all together into Square. Makes a lot of sense. Be interested to see what he does.